There are so many games on Game Pass. You got Sea of Thieves, you got Skyrim, you got Wolfenstein 2, you got Zuma's Revenge, and then add Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play into the mix, and you're probably like, yo, hold your horses, Xbox. I don't even know where to begin in this wild ocean of gaming's best deal. And hey, that's okay, because rest assured we have the list for you, the best Xbox Game Pass games to check out right now. Alright, let's kick this off with the scarier side of Game Pass. And what scarier game to get this train to Spooky Town rolling than Visage? Imagine if a small team of French indie developers decided to try and pick up where Hideo Kojima's PT left off, and well, that's exactly what Visage is. Even though, yes, it's very clearly a PT clone, what's truly impressive is how developer Sad Square Studio managed to evolve and stretch Kojima's concept into something terrifyingly all its own. It checks all of the boxes. House with a gruesome and tragic past, hallways I have no interest in exploring but ultimately have to, and this cutie. Most inspiring is the labyrinthian maze of the house, and how it constantly shifts, shapes, and morphs in maddening ways as you go deeper and deeper into the haunting, twisted storyline. What's the deal with big houses that are so damn eerie anyways? Well, in Resident Evil 7, it's not ghosts, that's for sure, it's the damned Baker family. There's no denying Resident Evil 7's got a little PT influence in its DNA too, which uprooted the survival horror franchise and put it in terrifying first person, and boy, did it work. It only came out a few years ago, but Resident Evil 7 has already found its place as a modern classic in the survival horror genre. And if you haven't braved the Louisiana swamps to take on the Baker family just yet, then, well, what are you waiting for? An invitation?
Welcome to the family, son.
But who says you gotta deal with monsters alone? Visage and Resident Evil 7 are single-player games, but Back 4 Blood pits the horde of horror against you and 3 others. It's the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, which means you'll be blasting through massive hordes of the undead, or ridden as they're called in the game, and having to think on the fly to communicate with your team to take on special ridden types like exploders, who explode, or bruisers, who will bruise you. This game goes camping because it's intense, so you might want to pair up with your friends or strangers on this one. Thankfully though, you don't have to play with others if you don't want to, because it's got a solo mode, so don't worry, you can be as antisocial as your heart desires. And while we're on the subject, if horror games is your jam, we did an entire list detailing the best horror games you should consider checking out right now, so you can find a link to that video in the description below. Alright, let's lighten the mood now, shall we? The Good Life is a lot of things. It's an RPG, it's an immersive sim, you can also take pictures, make money on social media to pay off your debt, you can also farm, ride a sheep. Oh, and everyone in this rural English town just so happens to turn into cats and dogs at night. In fact, so can you. Oh yeah, and there's a gruesome murder mystery afoot. Did I mention you can challenge a priest to a drinking game? The Good Life tries to be a lot, and while it doesn't quite nail everything it attempts, it makes up for it with bucket loads of charm. Its characters are quirky and memorable, the story is unpredictable and whimsical, and it's probably the most relaxed I've felt playing a game in a long time. There is really quite nothing else like The Good Life out there. Psychonauts 2. It's the sequel to the 16-year-old cult classic that continues the story of the circus acrobatic psychic prodigy Rasputin. But don't worry, if you haven't played the first, you're in luck. Psychonauts 2 gives a snappy recap and does a great job of welcoming new players to this marvelous world. It's an ambitious take on colorful 3D platformers, one that tells an impactful and emotional story, while also carefully handling and approaching topics of mental health in lighthearted and considered ways. The Forgotten City is definitely something not to be forgotten. It's a time loop narrative game where you find yourself in an ancient underground city which is at the mercy of a fantastical curse that kills everyone if one of its citizens commits a sin. However, someone is exploiting the power to wind back time, and it's up to you to experience its final day over and over again until you solve its mystery. What unravels is a thoughtful commentary on what's right and wrong, beliefs, religions, and morality itself. It's pretty heavy stuff, but is easily digestible thanks to some incredibly well-written characters. It's a marvel of game design and writing working in incredible tandem, and one not to forget about. And speaking of being ancient, have you ever heard of a game called Myst? Yeah, like the 1993 Myst? Well, it's on Game Pass, but this Myst is different from the geriatric classic that came out 28 years ago. This one has been built from the ground up in Unreal Engine, giving this oldie more than just a facelift, but completely updated visuals and controls, making it the quintessential way to experience an absolute OG. Myst is an adventure puzzle game set on a beautifully surreal island. This game is notoriously cryptic and a little difficult, but I assure you, when you imagine to figure out these puzzles on your own, and you will, you'll feel like an absolute genius. Even better, its soundtrack has remained completely unchanged, further proving that new age music from the 90s remains forever timeless, just like Enya. So you know how you hear stories of people who go off into the desert for like 8 months and experience this euphoric spiritual awakening where they suddenly understand the meaning of life, the cycle of existence, all its dimensions, and that whole knowing in that you know nothing stuff? Anyways, that's basically what it feels like to play Tetris Effect Connected. And best of all, you can have the spiritual awakening with a bunch of friends like some meditative retreat because it's multiplayer and it's just cool and stuff. Hades isn't just among the most innovative roguelikes out there, it's also the sexiest. Hades uses the concept of dying over and over again and uses it as a vessel to unravel the story, changing the expectation of death as something more than just failure, but a rewarding prospect in how the story is told. It's a hack and slash dungeon crawler, and for a while, Hades was PC and Nintendo Switch only, so having it on Game Pass is a gift from, well, the underworld. Microsoft Flight Simulator. Strap in and fly anywhere in the world. The game uses real-world data pulled from big maps to inform the in-game AI to generate the whole damn planet. This franchise has been exclusive to PC until this release, so the console edition is a marvel in and of itself. Now, of course, there's loads of games on Game Pass, and these are just a few you should try out, so be sure to check out the other lists on Game Pass games to play in the description below. Okay, thanks for watching. Till next time, see ya.